Hello, everyone. It's really lovely to be able to sit with you and spend this time in meditation. My name is Daryl Lynn Ross, and this is these sittings, as you know, are True North Insight's response to the coronavirus pandemic, a way to try to gather together in practice for our own support and to benefit many people who are struggling in so many different ways with this. And so what we're going to do, this is my first live YouTube teaching, so it feels a little, it's an adventure, and so I'm learning, and so what we're going to do is spend a little time in meditation. I'm going to guide a sitting, and then we'll have some time for a Dharma discussion. I'm going to share a few thoughts, excuse me, and there'll be time for some comments or questions. If anybody wants to bring that up, there's a live chat screen on the side, and then we'll end within an hour. These unfolding events are really such a reminder, surprising reminder that really things can change so quickly. Anything can happen anytime, and our practice, our meditation practice, can be a refuge to us. There are teachings in the Buddhist tradition about refuge and what refuge means, and the idea of refuge is that the first level of meaning is that we can take refuge in the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha, the person of the Buddha, and the possibility of awakening, and the teachings of the Buddha and the practice community, and the inner meaning, perhaps the deep meaning of refuge, another level of meaning is that we find refuge within ourselves by coming home to ourselves. And meditation is such a great aid to learn to find a stability, a sense of inner peace within ourselves. So I'd like to invite you to begin, as we begin meditating, to really bring an intention, commitment, to take this time, this time that you have decided to sit with me, with all of us, and commit to turning inward and finding a way of resting in the body, resting in the heart, and finding a deeper and inner stability. And this intention, this commitment, is really to just for now to be as fully here as we possibly can be, to say, to kind of put aside the news stories and the various events, and just really be present in the body, be present in the heart, be present in the mind, not by following thoughts, but by just being aware that they're there, and And so we can feel the body sitting. So taking a seat that feels stable and comfortable for you. And really arriving in at this time, at this place, in your body. We can feel the support of the earth in a very simple and direct way, feeling that the earth supports our lives. Just feeling the weight of the body pressing against the earth and the earth pressing back. We're always in relationship, sitting, standing, walking, lying down. We're always in relationship with the earth. Feeling the body breathing, aware of the movement of breath in the body. And perhaps aware of the energy of the body. Does the body feel, is there a kind of anxiety? Is there any anxiety in the body? And it's not something that it's really important to give space to that to be felt. Whatever is there, just giving space for it to be in the body. Noticing the breath, either noticing it peripherally or bringing a focus of attention to it. As we gather the attention to the body, to this sitting practice, we might notice that the breath is long. Maybe we're bringing an intention to the breath, using the breath as a focus to gather up the scattered mind, the scattered, restless, maybe anxious mind. And so just notice if the breath feels long. And that long breath is an intentional breath, and it can just kind of gather up the energies of the mind. And maybe if the mind becomes a bit more quiet, a bit more settled and focused, then maybe the intentional breath can shift to a more natural breath. And maybe you might discover for yourself, if this is your experience, that the breath maybe becomes a little more subtle and softer and shorter. We can always begin again if the mind gets activated, begins to wander off, just beginning again with connecting with the body, connecting with the breath. You might find that as you just stay with the breath, and of course, maybe mind wandering off and then coming back. But you might explore, or it might unfold naturally, that you begin to feel uh, your whole body, your whole body breathing, a sense of being fully in the body, like a sense of the body from bottom to top. Bringing a sense of presence into the body. Noticing the sensations as well as the breath. The breath could be more peripheral, or just feeling the breath in the body as a kind of a whole body experience, feeling the whole body breathing. How do you experience it? There's no one way. Inhabiting the body with presence, with awareness, with kindness, compassion, acceptance. Presence in the body, the presence with the breath has a quality of warmth. The warmth of kindness. you notice that there's tension in the body, you can bring awareness to that, this mindfulness, this quality of warm, non-judgmental attention. Just noticing if there's tension or contraction in some part of the body. It's part of how we fully arrive. As you sit, you may become more aware of different experiences in the body, energies, tensions, perhaps fatigue, perhaps a lack of energy. Um, and if you notice that the body feels very tired, that as you arrive home, you are touching into perhaps a deep fatigue, deep exhaustion. You could invite, with the in-breath, invite more energy into the body. And if you find that the body feels very tight, contracted, with the out-breath, you can invite the body to relax. Feel welcome to explore how that is for you. Those teachings are helpful. If you find that the mind is caught up because we've been caught up in a particular set of conditions and it's hard to just put it down, just acknowledge that. Acknowledge the drivenness of that, of the mind, and how that's been kind of taken in to the whole mind-body process. And with kindness and compassion. See if some just a bit more stillness, a bit more stability, even for a breath or a half a breath. If you can arrive there, invite yourself to arrive there. Sometimes we feel that we can't let go, that we have to hold on because there's so much going on. And give yourself permission to let go and just be here in the body, in the breath. Resting in the breath, giving space to whatever is manifesting in the body. In this way, we find inner refuge. We find that we can come home to ourselves. We can create this sense of inner presence, inner space. For the last few minutes of the sitting, I'd like to offer another kind of guided meditation. It's a compassion practice called Tonglen, and it's from the Mahayana tradition of Buddhism. So these, the insight teachings are more early Buddhist teachings, and the Tonglen teachings come from a set of teachings called Lojong, and the teaching on it is very simple, that giving and receiving rides on the breath. And so in this Tonglen practice, we're opening our hearts in compassion to the suffering that we experience within ourselves and also in the world around us. So we may find that as we hear about the different kinds of difficulties and the illness, the loss, the isolation, the stress, we may find ourselves feeling that we want to defend ourselves, that we want to close our hearts. We may become frightened, and some of the behavior that we see in the world comes from fear. And so some of the kinds of hoarding and that kind of thing that we see around us comes from fear. And so we're opening our hearts in a way to ourselves, first of all, and then to others, to say, I'm not wanting to take on your illness or the specifics of what's causing suffering in your life. But I wish I could just share. I wish I could take from you some of the burden of your suffering. And the practice is a very simple one. Now, as we breathe in, and we could just breathe in and out, and I'll just guide us gently in, slowly into the practice. So breathing in, we breathe into the heart, a sense of breathing directly into the heart center. And in the way I practice and teach it, it's like we're breathing through the whole body, and that breath that we're breathing in goes into the vastness around us, and we can have a sense of that as being the mind of the Buddha, or the heart of the Buddha, or life, or the ocean of wisdom, or the great sky of compassion. So, however you may feel it, imagine it, connect with it. Breathing in the heart, into the heart, and through, out, kind of almost like a little swinging door, breathing through the body into the openness and vastness of life around us. And then when we breathe out, we're sourcing that vastness of life and breathing out. And so first of all, we begin by just connecting in the body with any suffering that we experience, any anxiety, any fear, any anger, any blame, any sense of resentment. And connecting with that, breathing it into the heart and through. And then as we breathe out, filling the whole body with that wisdom. So we might experience that as light as coolness, as a sense of ease, well-being. So breathing into the heart and through any suffering that we feel in the body-mind. And breathing, as we breathe out, we fill the whole body-mind, resourcing it from the mind of the Buddha, the heart of the Buddha. And if you find it helpful to continue offering this Tonglen practice, working with your own being, then please continue. If you want to move on, we can bring to mind someone that you know or you know of who is suffering. And again, not breathing in the specifics of what's causing them pain, illness or loss or whatever it is, but just saying, I'd like to take the weight of that suffering from you and breathe it in, and not holding on to it in the body, but just letting it move through, out the back door, into the vastness, into the heart of the Buddha. And then as you breathe out, breathing out toward that being and offering them light, ease, peace, coolness, well-being, joy. And if you find that as you do this practice that some kind of anxiety or fear comes up, then turn your attention again to that. Turn your attention to the fear, that's suffering within yourself, and breathe that in. Breathe that into the heart and out through the back door into the heart of the Buddha. And breathe back through your whole being, resourcing yourself with ease, with peace, with light. And then for the last minute or so, you can just allow whatever comes into your mind, whether it's a place, a set of conditions, a person, a being, a non-human being who is struggling in some way, suffering in some way, and again, not taking in illness or loss, but we're taking in their suffering. We're saying, share it with me. Let me hold some of it. Let me take some of it from you. Breathing it in and through, and then breathing back, to whatever is coming up moment by moment in your mind and heart. A person, the situation. Breathing relief, light, ease. And so, as we bring this formal part of the practice to a conclusion, we can bring an intention, a dedication that the goodness, the blessings of our practice may be of benefit. Our practice and all the ways that we bring awareness and kindness into our lives, that this may serve the happiness, well-being, healing, and liberation of all beings. I'd like to share a few thoughts, and then maybe if you have questions, you could type them in on the live chat. I'm really wishing I could see you instead of looking at this video of myself, but I do appreciate your presence and do feel that we are together, and I'm so grateful for that. Our practice enables us to be a refuge to ourselves, and we really experience this in a very clear way. It really comes home to us when the rug is pulled out from us in our lives, and here we're also experiencing this collectively, and it's so it's so from left field. Maybe we're getting used to it now, but I still find myself surprised by the whole unfolding of it again and again. And so we can get caught up in anxiety and fear. And I was talking to a student in one of my programs last night, one of the long-term study and practice programs that I teach, and she was describing how she went out to the supermarket, and she was just planning to pick up a few things, and she noticed people piling their carts high, and she was with her mother, and her mother kind of, caught the fear contagion and said, maybe we should pile our carts up, and we don't know if there's going to be anything there tomorrow, and she could feel herself like just kind of the fear taking hold of her, and then she was thinking, well, then the next person who comes along, and maybe it'll be an elderly person, maybe it's hard for them to get out, they won't find what they need on the shelves, and but our sense of interconnectedness, our sense of being part of a community, a larger family, a larger body, is kind of comes under pressure when we're in this context. And so it really is, I find for myself, it's so important to maintain a practice, and this practice of coming home, this practice of letting go, of of uh, of just taking this, making this sacred time, and touching in to the heart and to the inner space, the inner silence, and it equips us to then move out into the different ways that we're engaging, whether it's with colleagues online, working from home, or with friends or with family. It helps us to meet the unfolding reality of our lives, the unfolding challenges, and as well as the beauty and joy and intimacy, with an open heart, and with a non-reactive heart. And so, I find that it's so important. The people in my life that model to me non-reactivity and kindness and generosity and compassion are so important. Just I was just walking my dog before I began this YouTube session, and it so happened that an old friend drove by, and she stopped the car and said, "I'm staying 6 feet away from you," and I, so I told her that this was coming up, and I said, "Oh, I've never done YouTube before, and I'm a little nervous," and she gave me encouraging words, and so so her generosity and her compassion were just so so helpful. And it doesn't take a lot, does it, to reach out and be empathetic, to imagine what somebody else might be feeling. And so, that helps us to counter the closing down, the fear, the anxiety, staying connected to the world around us with kindness. That kindness is, I just thought of that as a title for the talk. Kindness is contagious. It's not the only thing. COVID-19 is not the only thing that's contagious. Goodness is contagious. Kindness is contagious. Generosity is contagious. So let's maybe we can be offering that in the world. I wonder, I'd like to invite, wondering if any of you have any thoughts, any experiences that you'd like to share on the live chat line, and anything that comes up as a question, how to apply practice in your life at this time. I'm not seeing any I'm wondering if the technology is there. No. So I'm not seeing any chats. I'm gonna consult my coach, my techno coach. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not getting anything. And I might have switched off the live chat because I'm not seeing it there. So maybe maybe I'll just share a few more thoughts. And okay, so Muriel's going to text me the questions. Okay, do you have any advice for news watching? Yeah, let's put ourselves on a diet for news watching. I found for myself the first few days, I was just, checking and wanting to hear more. And then I noticed, like, our bodies can really be such a support in the practice. Just noticing how my body was just beginning to feel more and more anxious, and I was just carrying that, and I began to realize that that somehow there was the misguided idea that knowing more and more and more might give me some kind of control. That's what I figured out anyway for myself, that it just felt like, okay, if I know more, then somehow maybe it doesn't feel so out of control. And of course, it doesn't give us any more control at all. So however you take your news, whether it's checking online, or listening to the radio, or going to a particular news feed, and of course, be careful about misinformation and disinformation. There can be a lot of that floating around. There is some floating around, and so it's not at all helpful. And so, I haven't really encountered it myself, but I'm not on a lot of social media, but I've heard that there is some on social media. And I think also I find it helpful to reflect on what this is bringing forward in the world in terms of positive response. Like there are websites like How Can I Help, and people offering to get groceries, or just check in on somebody who might be quarantined, or just wanting to stay inside because they have an underlying condition. So yeah, I find it really helpful to reflect on the good things that are coming out of this, the ways, the beautiful creativity that is emerging in terms of how can we support each other in this. So another person is saying, putting in a lot of sit time, but finding a challenge to get onto the day-to-day stuff that needs to be taken care of. Any suggestions? Yeah, it's great that you're putting in sit time, but I think that it's also important to stay active and to feel that you're staying on top of your daily responsibilities, getting the groceries, taking care of any work that needs to be done, checking in on people, whatever it is that's part of your daily life, putting the garbage out, the food scraps, all of these things. It like meditation, we can find an inner refuge in meditation, but it's not an escape. It's a way that we help equip ourselves to respond, to show up in our lives with resilience, with stability, with kindness and peace. So it's not a way of escaping. It may well be that with the advice that we're being given to stay inside, to not do any unnecessary activities, not gather with people, that you have more time for meditation, and that's lovely. It might also be good to bring some Dharma study into that, as well as just sitting. It might be a time to explore the teachings in a way that you maybe haven't had time to. But do, I really encourage you to take care of your daily responsibilities. And doing those mindfully is also can bring a sense of joy and a sense of living a life that has order and some stability in it. So there can be some sense of satisfaction in just staying on top of. So I wish I don't know. I'll have to find out for next time why I didn't get the live chat, but thank you so much. It's really been really a joy to be with you, to know that we've shared this time together, and I look forward to connecting with you online again, and also looking forward to the time when we can be in one another's presence. I'm just getting a text. Roxanne is suggesting up on the right, over video suggested. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I think we're good. So thank you. Sending lots of love and appreciation and compassion to all of you. So bye for now.